You're about to watch me read Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. I think I had pretty high expectations for this book, mostly because of just how beautiful like the cover is, and you know when you kind of like pull through pages and stuff, there's like some designs like where's one? You saw one. There's like designs and stuff in it, and that always kind of just shows like an extra touch, a little bit extra love in there. So I have high expectations because there feels like there's so much passion put into this book. Plus, I hear that it's spicy. From my understanding about this book, it's about a demon prince named Envy, and he gets kind of like tied into this like game of sorts. I'm not really sure like what the game entails. There's an artist named Camilla who ends up kind of getting weaved into this due to some blackmail, and then they kind of like work together, and I imagine probably like fall in love, and they're probably like super attracted to each other. So I'm very excited. There's mention of vampires and demons and fantasy and romance, so it really does feel up my alley. So let's crack it open. First, the dust cover has to go. I hope there's a design under this one. Let's find out. All right, it's okay. It just has like a little like green line, which I think kind of annoys me actually. It just feels like really discombobulated. I don't know. Yeah, it's okay. I like when they have like little designs underneath though. It just makes taking the dust cover off like so satisfying. But now the dust cover is off, let's read this. Don't mind the hair, I'm going out later today. Anyways, I'm now about 100 pages-ish into The Throne of the Fallen, and I am loving it so far. The writing is absolutely gorgeous, and both of the main characters are just like so fascinating to me. Like Camilla's character, she is an artist. She kind of has this gallery that was originally like her dad's, and her dad was like super into the fae and like all of that kind of stuff, and it kind of drove him mad before he passed away. And then her mom left right before she debuted, so like back in the day when women were ready to kind of like start looking for husbands, like they would debut, which I learned this from Bridgerton. And they would kind of go in, and so her mom actually just like kind of pieced out and decided to travel the world. And so everyone was kind of saw Camilla as like a pariah. They're like, oh, like we don't want to associate with her. So she never found anyone for herself, and she's been very lonely for like forever pretty much. And so because of like her father getting sick, she ends up creating this like forgery and sells the painting like with this guy named like Vexley, who she calls Vex the Hex, which is really funny. And he's a horrible mean person who's basically blackmailing her. Like they kind of like did this together. Like she created the forgery, and then now he's blackmailing her because she did that, but she did it because she needed money for her dad's care. Unfortunately, he did pass away though. And so like he's basically holding this over her, forcing her to make more and more forgeries so he can make money and all this stuff, and it will ruin her reputation if she's ever found out. And because she doesn't really have that good of a reputation because of like her parents and such, this is really important to her. Like she can't lose that reputation because then she'll lose the gallery, and that's like what she really cares about. And so for Envy's character, he's going by Lord Sinton. So like they're like, oh, like call me Sin for short, and I'm like, it's kind of funny because you're Envy, the one of the 7 deadly sins. And I don't know if it's just because of like how much I love Full Metal Alchemist, but anytime 7 deadly sins are like as characters, I'm obsessed with that. And so following around like Envy's character and kind of like how he's trying, like he's playing this game to basically, he lost, from my understanding, like it's still like not entirely explained. That's kind of like part of the mystery, but he's in this game. So anybody who's kind of like part of this game had lost something to like the game master. And so from my understanding, it's like some kind of powers and something related to his court. And so if he wins, he kind of gets it all back. And so this is where Camilla kind of like comes in, because he needs her to paint this like cursed throne image, but she's super against doing that because her dad always told her never to kind of like dabble in cursed objects, and she kind of saw like what happened to him when he kind of like got too involved in that world, and she's like, I'm not gonna do it. So Envy's just trying all these different ways, and he only gets 3 chances before like he pretty much loses the game. And so he tried like asking outright, got rejected. He tried seducing her, didn't work because he was a fool, and he was like, oh yeah, like we'll do this if you do the painting. And then she was like, oh come on, you ruined it, man. And now the third is he's in a way kind of like blackmailing her, but like helping her at the same time. And so he was able to steal the forgery from Vexley's place. And so he's like, yeah, like if you paint like the painting that I need, not only will I give you the forgery, I'll also help you find this key. And I'm assuming it's probably the key on the front cover, the dust cover that we took off. And I think that because they kind of mentioned that there's like a key to kind of unlock, there's like these secret tunnels that her dad made that connect from like a barn, so they can kind of go underground into her house to stay away from like the journalist people. And so I think that this key is gonna kind of unlock the doors for that, and like it's so whimsical and magical, and I'm really excited about that. And so Vexley, not only is he blackmailing Camilla, he also stole this key. And so this is where the difference is. Like Envy, obviously he's doing this because he needs her to paint it, but he's not just like, hey, I stole the forgery and making you doing this. He's like, I'm gonna help you do this, and then you can help me do this. And so this is his third chance, and so she's thinking about it, and he's hosting a masquerade ball where she's gonna give the answer. And oh my goodness, the tension between these two characters, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful. It's everything that a spicy fantasy lover like myself loves, and I'm just like, so good. And one more thing I wanted to note before I go back to reading is just how absolutely gorgeous the entire book is. Like, look at this. When it's like the parts are all the parts are kind of like this, with this beautiful imagery and like the little header there, and then all the chapters, there's like one with like the wisteria, and then there's another one sometimes with like keys. There's the wisteria again. There's a key one somewhere in here, but I can't seem to find it. But there's also keys and stuff, and it's just like these little details really just make it more magical and whimsical, and I'm just like, I'm having such a great time with this book. I'm now about halfway through Throne of the Fallen, and oh my goodness, this book. The tension between Envy and Camilla is glorious. It's so good, it's so good. And like, I don't usually like the bad boy kind of character, but like a literal demon. Whew. Not only is like the romance in this book really, really good, I love so many of these characters. Like, I think Camilla is so interested, and she has like so much that she's hiding, and like so much that's happened to her. And then for Envy, like just being Envy is just like the way that his sin kind of gets in the way, and that he's not actually like a bad guy, like he's doing stuff to help his court, which really gives like Reese kind of vibes, like Akatar Reese vibes. And I love that Camilla can just like stand on her own. She's like, I'm not doing that, not dealing with that. Like, even for the time period, like, it's really impressive. Like, there's definitely times where, like, especially in the beginning, where she doesn't want to be doing these things because it's gonna ruin her, like, entire reputation. But, like, once she's kind of away from that setting, and she's kind of, like, in the underworld, like, with Envy, and they're trying to, like, solve this, like, play this game together, solve all the clues and all that, she's really able to just be herself. And that's, like, it's really good, because she's not like the prim and proper like society lady. No, she's like, I'm gonna kick butt today. Like, I don't think she knows how to fight, but Like if she did, I'm pretty sure she would kick a lot of butt. So it's so much fun, and just following along with like the clues, which I have no idea how Envy can just like look at this like anagram and be like, oh, it's this. It's like, okay, I have no idea how you know that, but like, that's good, which is good because like the story progresses very fast. So it's like they solve the clue and then they go to the next. So they went to House Sloth, which is like one of Envy's many brothers, because there's like the 7 deadly sins. And so Sloth is one of them, and he kind of goes by Low for like, he doesn't like being called Sloth. And so like Sloth is really interesting to me. Typically in the kind of content that depicts like 7 deadly sins, like Sloth is usually like slothy, like lazy and all of that. And not that this Sloth isn't either. Like he works at a snail's pace, he takes a really long time to do stuff, but he's so smart. Like he's like an academic. He has all of these books, all of this like art and information, and just like the probably the biggest collection ever of just information, and he's always reading, and he just like, he loves it. But the way that his sin kind of affects him is that he took a really, really long time to build up this collection. Or like when they're going through the collection trying to find something that doesn't belong, that's going to kind of help with their like game that they're playing, Camilla kind of comments that it's like taking a snail's pace to try and like get through all of this stuff. So I think that it was a really cool take on like how they did Sloth, and like it was cool. I liked it. So not only have we already met Sloth, we've also met Gluttony and Lust and obviously Envy and Pride and Wrath. There's no mention of Greed yet, so I'm sure that we'll come across Greed at some point. I also really like that they're all brothers, because like I find, and nothing against Fullmetal Alchemist, like Fullmetal Alchemist is great, and I love that they made Lust a woman, but I don't know how I feel about Lust always being a woman. Like I don't know, it just kind of feels bad taste to me. But I really like that Lust is a guy. Like I feel like I've never seen a guy lust before, and so it's like, this is great. Like, guy lust, you go for it, guy lust, like you do your thing. And so it's really cool to just kind of like see how the author has kind of tapped into the 7 deadly sins and just turned them into different characters and make them very unique compared to like what I've seen before in different types of like content. So I'm having such a fun time with this book. So I'm gonna go back to reading, and I'm gonna update you when I'm closer to like the end or when I finish the book. And so I'll see you then. I am almost done The Throne of the Fallen, and oh my goodness, this book. Let's just say the spicy scene was like 10 pages. It was fantastic. It was so fantastic. Oh my goodness. I love, like, they make you wait. And I love when books do that. Like, I like the tension with the characters, and I find sometimes the books, they get into it too quickly, but this one, like, literally it's towards the end and it's like, that was worth the wait. Oh my. So they're on their way to kind of like the finish line of this, and there was a really cute scene where like there was like this lake that they had to go through, but you have to do it naked and like have no worldly possessions on you, and like they're kind of walking through together, and he has like this one night rule, and so like because he and Camilla had already been together, he has that rule, like he won't do that again, but he's like, she's different, and like he's trying to fight against that. He's like, no, I got my rule. And so like all these like kind of tempting things happen throughout the entire book, and so like this kind of like walking through the lake kind of thing. But it was cute because instead of like kind of like tapping into like their natural instincts, they're still both being very stubborn that they don't want to be with each other. Whatever, they will be. But no, they danced together. It was so tender. So I'm excited. There's been a lot of really good reveals and stuff, especially like with Camilla's backstory and like all of this, and I just love watching Camilla and Envy. They're just like so good. And now just like the whole, they're like, oh, we've been together like we don't want to be with each other anymore. Like, we got that rule, but also in the lake, you can only tell the truth. And so they both admitted that they still want to be together. And like, if they don't end up together, which I highly doubt that they won't end up together, but like, I will riot if they do not end up together, but they better be. If they better be. So I'm almost done. So I'm going to continue to read and to finish the book. It's like one of those books that you don't want it to end. Like, I just don't want it to end. I'm like, if I don't read today, then that means I can read it tomorrow. But it's towards the finish line and I'm gonna miss it. But it's not over yet, so still like a little bit more to read. So I'm gonna enjoy this book and savor every moment of it. Last night I finished The Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. This book was so much fun. Like, the spice in it was so good. There was like constant tension between like Camilla and Envy the entire time, all the time. It was awesome. There was lots of like, there was fae and there was vampires and just like a different take on the 7 deadly sins. And like, this was just so great. And there's more. I'm pretty sure that there's more, because obviously like, this story wasn't wrapped up. Like, Camilla and Envy's story partially is wrapped up, but there's still like the whole thing about her mom and like her brothers, and then also like that scene towards the end about like Pride and like Envy giving Pride some information about his wife. So like, I don't know how many are going to be in this series, but this is definitely the first of many. I can tell. Like, there's no way this is just one. This book like captivated all of my attention at all times. I even had dreams about it when I wasn't reading it, and like, it was just so good. As you can guess, this is definitely a 5-star read, and I definitely recommend it if you like spice, if you like morally gray characters, if you like demons and princes and like the Bridgerton time period and magic and deception and tension and like all of this. It's so well done, and all the pieces, like, they all kind of come together, and it's like, keeps you guessing because it doesn't tell you. Like, you get little hints throughout, like, because Envy and Camilla are like keeping their secrets, and even when you get each of their point of views, you don't get the whole story until like towards the end, and everything's like all wrapped up. And so it's kind of like a little adventure as well. Like, you can definitely kind of guess some parts of it, but like, the way that it was done was just so good. Because of how much I enjoyed this book, I'm definitely going to be looking into Carrie Maniscalco and see if there's any other books, which I saw from like the first like pages. She has a couple of them. I don't know where to start, but if you could recommend which series of hers to start with, definitely be appreciated, because I think that this is just lovely. And so the next book that I'm going to be reading is The Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. I finished The Clockwork Angel. It was okay. Like, I enjoyed it. There was like parts that like surprised me, but I didn't really care too much about the characters. But that like towards the end of Clockwork Angel, I was like, oh my goodness, like, this is really starting to ramp up. And I was talking to my friend who recommended it, and she's like, yeah, like, the books are really about like ramping up. So second one is good. I hear the third one is the best. And when I went to pick up this one and the third one, Clockwork Princess, the cashier, and this is funny, it happens every time I buy these books, the cashier, which is a different cashier than the first time, was like, oh my goodness, this is my favorite series. It's so good. And she's like, which ones have you read? Like, what series have you read? And so we're just kind of chatting about that. So that just kind of really hypes it up that this isn't the first time that's happened when I bought, because when I bought Clockwork Angel, the cashier was like, this is amazing. Like, oh, you're going to love this so much. And so it's, yeah, I'm just getting a lot of vibes from that. So I'm excited. I think that this has a lot of potential, and I hear that there's like character development, so hopefully Will isn't as annoying in this one. So yeah, if you haven't already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the bell notification. That way you get notified anytime a new video comes out. As you can tell, I love books, and I always have another book ready to go. So if you want to see me read this book and hear my thoughts about it, don't forget to hit subscribe and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!